Most people believe control looks obvious. They imagine walls, armed forces, loud commands, and visible restrictions. But modern control rarely works that way anymore. In today's world, the most powerful systems are often the ones nobody notices. They do not force people forward with fear every second. Instead, they quietly shape the environment around them until most people willingly move in the direction the system prefers. It begins with attention. Human attention has become one of the most valuable resources on Earth. Every day, billions of people wake up and immediately connect themselves to digital systems. Phones light up beside their beds. Notifications begin arriving before their minds are fully awake. News, entertainment, trends, arguments, advertisements, and endless streams of information start flooding into their thoughts before they even leave the room. At first glance, it feels normal, convenient, harmless, but attention is power. Whoever controls what people constantly see can slowly influence what they think, fear, desire, and eventually accept as reality. Modern systems understand this extremely well. Instead of controlling people through visible force alone, societies are increasingly guided through algorithms, emotional triggers, distraction cycles, and information overload. People often believe they are making completely independent choices, while invisible systems quietly shape the choices presented to them in the first place. The process is subtle. People are kept busy, entertained, emotionally reactive, and constantly connected. When the human mind becomes overloaded with information every second, it becomes harder to stop and question larger systems. Survival, work pressure, social comparison, and digital stimulation consume most daily attention. And when attention disappears, awareness often disappears with it. This creates a society that moves quickly but rarely pauses long enough to ask who designed the direction. One of the most effective forms of modern control is not fear alone. It is comfort. Comfort keeps people stable, predictable, dependent. Modern life offers endless convenience. Food arrives instantly. Entertainment never stops. Digital platforms provide constant stimulation. Systems become so deeply integrated into everyday life that disconnecting from them begins to feel almost impossible. But comfort can also weaken resistance. A population overwhelmed by exhaustion and constant distraction rarely has enough energy left to deeply examine the structures shaping their lives. People become focused on surviving the week rather than understanding the larger machine around them. At the same time, fear still remains part of the equation. Fear spreads faster than almost anything else. Economic uncertainty, social division, global crises, digital panic, and constant alarming headlines keep societies emotionally reactive. A fearful population becomes easier to guide because fear pushes humans toward immediate emotional responses rather than slow critical thinking. This does not require secret control rooms or dramatic conspiracies hidden underground. In many cases, systems evolve naturally around power, influence, profit, and stability. Institutions learn how populations react. Technology collects behavior patterns. Algorithms optimize engagement. Media competes for attention. Governments seek order. Corporations seek growth. Together, these forces slowly build environments capable of influencing millions of people at once. The modern world runs on data. Every click, search, purchase, movement, and interaction leaves behind information. Over time, systems begin understanding human behavior in extraordinary detail. What people fear, what excites them, what keeps them scrolling, what increases emotional reactions, what holds attention the longest. Once behavior becomes predictable, influencing it becomes easier. This changes society in ways many people barely notice. People increasingly live inside personalized digital realities. Two individuals can exist in the same city yet experience completely different information worlds every day. Their feeds, recommendations, news exposure, and emotional environments may never fully overlap. The result is fragmentation. Large populations become divided into emotional groups, constantly reacting to different narratives. This division weakens collective awareness because people spend more energy fighting each other than examining the systems influencing everyone simultaneously. Meanwhile, surveillance itself has changed. In the past, surveillance often looked physical and obvious. Today, much of it happens quietly through digital dependency. Cameras, devices, location systems, online activity, purchasing behavior, and social patterns create an enormous amount of information every second. Most people willingly carry these systems in their pockets. And because convenience is exchanged for data, the process feels voluntary. Modern control also operates through economic pressure. Many people work constantly, yet feel trapped inside cycles they cannot escape. Rising costs, unstable markets, debt systems, and economic uncertainty create populations focused primarily on maintaining survival. When survival consumes most energy, long-term thinking becomes difficult. A person struggling to stay financially stable rarely has time to deeply study how larger systems operate. This creates another powerful form of control: exhaustion. Exhausted populations become easier to predict, easier to distract, easier to emotionally manipulate. And yet, the system rarely appears openly oppressive because most people still experience moments of freedom, entertainment, and personal choice. That balance is important. Total visible control creates resistance, but controlled freedom creates stability. People feel independent while remaining deeply connected to systems they cannot easily leave. Education also plays a major role. Modern societies train people from a young age to follow schedules, meet standardized expectations, seek approval from systems, and prepare for structured economic participation. Much of this creates social order and opportunity. But it also conditions millions of people to operate inside predefined pathways for most of their lives. Questioning those pathways often feels uncomfortable because conformity is rewarded while uncertainty carries risk. Social pressure reinforces this further. Humans naturally fear exclusion. Modern digital culture amplifies this instinct through public reactions, trends, social validation, and online judgment. People quickly learn which opinions gain approval and which create conflict. Over time, many begin self-censoring without anyone directly forcing them to do so. This is one of the quietest forms of control, when people regulate themselves because they fear social consequences more than direct punishment. Technology continues accelerating all of this. Artificial intelligence, predictive systems, advanced data analysis, and automated information networks are becoming more powerful every year. These tools can improve healthcare, communication, transportation, and daily life. But they also increase the ability of large systems to understand and influence human behavior on an unprecedented scale. The future may not resemble old forms of control from history. It may look cleaner, faster, more comfortable, more personalized. And that is what makes it difficult to recognize. Because modern control rarely arrives where in the face people expect. It arrives as convenience, as entertainment, as personalization, as endless distraction, as emotional stimulation, as dependency, as comfort. But despite all this, awareness still matters. The moment people begin questioning how information shapes emotion, how algorithms influence attention, how fear affects decision-making, and how systems benefit from constant distraction, the invisible structure becomes easier to see. Control is strongest when it remains unnoticed. And throughout history, every major system has depended on one thing above all else: human attention. Because wherever attention goes, society follows. The modern world understands this deeply. That is why the battle for attention may quietly become one of the most important struggles of the future. Not fought with visible weapons, but fought inside minds, screens, emotions, habits, and daily behavior. A silent struggle shaping entire societies one decision at a time. And most people may never even realize it is happening.